Thanks, Doug, for putting this on, and it's terrific to be here with you today. And I want to recognize my great opponent, Peter Ashton. What a great guy, isn't he? I mean, just think about what he's bringing to the table for Democrats. You know, we're often labeled as people who are not pro-business, or we don't understand it, or we're out for a different reasons. But I'm very grateful that he's in the race. I got into the race late this go around, and if I hadn't jumped in, Pete would get my full endorsement, and I would look forward to win. Just a moment about the candidates. I haven't had a chance to meet all the candidates until today, where we were over in St. George earlier, and I got to meet all of them. You should be very proud of what the Democratic Party has offered to the citizens of our great state, to be leaders. I'm deeply impressed with the quality, the knowledge. Jeff, when I decided that it was time for me to listen to that clarion call of service, I ran for the Utah State Senate. It was back in 1989. And people said to me, "You'll never win. You will never, ever win." I ran in a district in in Salt Lake, that was out in Sandy, and a Republican had served there forever. But Jeff, I want you to know that people will vote for the individual, regardless of party, if they believe that you're in their best interest. That's a clear message that I see as the people that we need to appeal to. Purple people. And they're not red, they're not blue, they're kind of that shade of purple that really wants to have their voice heard. I won that election. I went up to the state senate. I didn't know what in the heck I'd gotten into, Jeff, so be prepared for that. I couldn't find the bathroom for the first year and a half. But after that, I got redistricted out of my seat. They had such disdain for me that they gerrymandered me out of my seat and put me in a seat where I had to run against a Republican who was ecclesiastically high up in the LDS faith, which I'm also of that faith. I wasn't high up. And I thought that things were going to end right there. Fortunately, I won again. In fact, we won this time almost 60%. So the citizens are looking for you, every one of you that are here today, to give them a reason why to vote for us as Democrats. So I said I'd serve 3 terms in the state senate. I was all about education. I'm a passionate believer. If we don't fix our education system, companies like mine, who I've worked for 34 years, will not have the leaders in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics that we need to maintain superiority in the world today. And that's not saying that China or India shouldn't have that. What it's saying is we have to invest in quality education. My company, IBM, would much rather have an educated workforce than they would a tax break. Over the last 2 years, I've managed our public sector. I've had a $1 billion quota, and I've lived every day what it means to drive revenue in order to be successful. So you're probably wondering, why, Scott, would you be back here? After 34 years of being in the private sector, at the end of the month, I'm going to retire. 2.7 million miles on Delta and 34 years at IBM qualify me to do that. And I'm happy to do it. With a real swift hurricane effort, my wife and I decided that it was time to give back. Again, one more time. I ran against Orrin Hatch in 2000, and at that time he called me and he said, "Scott, if you won't run against me this year, I promise I won't run again. I promise I won't run again." And I said, "No, Orrin, we've known each other a long time. It's time for you to go." He said, "Okay, but I'm telling you, if you just won't run again." I went and met with Pete when he ran, and his lovely wife, Robin, who's his greatest asset. We sat down and we talked about this, and I said, "Pete, Orrin Hatch is not telling the truth. He told me that he wouldn't run again." Now, in today's paper, in the Deseret News, there's this interesting article from Orrin that says, "Ask Orrin Hatch questions." And one of the questions that somebody asked him is said, they asked him, and I'll paraphrase the question, his answer. They said, "Don't you think you're too old to run?" Do you know what gall he had to say? He said that when you're good, and you should stay back there. When you find that someone Now, look, let me tell you a little bit about IBM. We almost lost our business in the early 90s. We came that close to being bankrupt. We're right now almost a $100 billion corporation. We have 456,000 employees. But the reason that we almost became bankrupt is because we spent money foolishly, and we had leadership at the time that didn't transform themselves. How many of you have transformed your lives in one regard or another? Whether it's technology, whether it's your job. Orrin Hatch has not transformed his life. It's time we raise our hand and we give him a vote of thanks. Raise your hands. Thank you, Orrin, for your service. Come home. About 5 months ago, I was flying back to D.C., and I was on the plane next to Orrin, and he said, "Scott, I heard you're back in Utah. What's going on? What's going on? Are you going to run? Are you going to run?" I said, "Orrin, cool it, okay? Just relax." "Well, are you going to run? Why are you back? Why do you come back?" So I just ignored him. And we got off the plane, and his sweet wife, Elaine, was standing there. And he walks up and says, "Oh, you remember Scott?" And Elaine says, "Oh, yeah, sure, I remember Scott." She says, "Are you going to run again?" And I just looked at her, and she says, "Well, let me tell you, I'm so sick of Washington, and I have like 42 grandkids. I'll vote for you." So I turned, and I said, "Senator, there's my first vote," and walked off. And he just took Elaine, and he had this like, look, let me be fair. I appreciate the service that Orrin's given. He's given great service, and I appreciate it. He voted for the CHIP program, which in my mind is one of the greatest programs to help our youth, our children. He's also appointed some good judges. And when I think about the judiciary system, I think about the next senator from the United States should be a senator that works both sides of the aisles and not become an obstructionist. Think about the former next coming judge, Nuffer, from St. George. Mike Lee shut down the judiciary because he had a principle, and he wasn't going to sustain a great judge from our own St. George. That is the very problem that's wrong with Washington today. That rarefied air back there has gotten to these elected officials where they can't see beyond their own ego. They can't see beyond what it means to have collaboration, what it means to work together for the goodness of Utah. This isn't a race about the left or the right. This is a race about moving forward or moving backward. This is an important time in our country. The very fabric of our country, what our forefathers founded this. Think for a moment of Jefferson and Hamilton and all of them were sitting on this front row. And we said, guys, guess what? Here's a guy who's been in office 36 years and he wants to go another 6. Here's a guy who's been in the private sector for 34 and he'd like to serve the country. What do you think they would say? I can see Jefferson just going into furious rage, outrage in Franklin saying, we created this system for farmers, for citizens to go back, serve, get in, and get out. We did away with the monarchy during the Revolutionary War. Seniority and the very essence of that argument is why we needed a change in Utah. I am thrilled and I would be honored to be the candidate for the United States Senate from the Democratic Party. I want to introduce my wife. Linda, stand up. My fabulous wife here is in on this deal with me. We have 4 boys. They're all married. 2 went to the University of Utah. 2 could not get in the University of Utah, so they went to Brigham Young. It's a split family, but I want you to know that it's a unified family. We have 4 daughters, fabulous daughter-in-laws now. We're committed. We jumped in this race at the deep end of the pool. We want to change the destiny of Utah. The only way we can do it is if we, every one of us in this room, stand tall, stand proud, say, I am a Utah Democrat, and when I go to Washington, if I'm given that opportunity, it won't be Democratic values, it won't be Republican values, it'll be our values. Each and every one of us. God bless them.